What up, Squirtle Squad? It's your man Chipz-N-Stix with Squirtle, and I'm back today for a very special review. Thanks to the good folks at Ember Lab, I'm giving you a review on Kena Bridge of Spirits. Keep watching. Jumping right into it, I'm going to talk to you about the graphics, the visuals, the stunning 4K beauty, all of that. So, on this game, I've played it on the PS5, and this is the only copy that I'm reviewing. There are two modes that you get. You can get Fidelity Mode and Performance Mode. So, Fidelity Mode is native 4K at 30 frames per second, which honestly, I've played most of the game up until now in Fidelity Mode. It does give you that cinematic feel. You know, it's really good. I'm always mind blown at the things that people can do on these current gen consoles in terms of, you know, the graphics and the visual experience that you get. And I decided to do a little bit of gameplay in performance mode. Now, performance mode is basically dynamic 4K at 60 frames per second. So what does that mean? Dynamic 4K. That means it's resolution upscale to 4K. For all of you tech heads, if you know the real big difference, comment below. Mind you, the 60 frames per second is buttery smooth. That takes your gameplay up to like another level because it's funny, after I did performance mode, I couldn't go back to fidelity mode. It just felt slow. I mean, of course it is, because it's 30 frames. It's an animation. It's not supposed to be a hyper-realistic game. But even the details in some of the environments and some of the characters and the objects that you come across are so sharp, and it's so appealing. I can't stop gushing over it. I'm just keeping it real with you. It's fucking amazing. That's just how I'm just gonna say it. You're not gonna experience anything mind-blowing in terms of how it plays, especially like combat-wise. The game, for the most part, is very straightforward, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of fun to be had in simplicity. So you get two different types of attacks, your light attack and your heavy attack, both native to R1 and R2. You don't get, you know, a vast array of combos and moves, right? But you can actually switch up your combos a little bit. It really takes some creativity to pull some of these things off, because you can do some pretty cool moves and do some damage if you're just creative about it, right? They give you that option, you know, or that ability. And the reason why I'm saying you can be creative is because, you know, Kena's skill tree is not vast, right? You get like 4 rows, you know, to upgrade a bunch of things. Some of them is your bow, some of them are your rots. The rots are the little creatures that, you know, walk around with you. Very cute. When you upgrade some of your abilities and some of your attacks, this is kind of like a little spoiler, not too crazy. You can upgrade to get bombs, right? And even some of your upgrades with the bombs has, you know, a rot infused in it, so that way you can do more damage. And you can throw multiple bombs, you know, when you fully max out. And, you know, those by itself can do a lot of damage, but when you combine it with certain attacks and your bow attack, you can add on a lot of damage. And that's pretty cool, because they weren't trying to do too much with this, right? And I think, I don't want to speak for Ember Lab when I say this, but they wanted to streamline the most amount of fun to you, you know, while keeping things easy to understand and easy to grasp, and just overall, you know, focus on, you know, fantastic gameplay. There are some slight improvements that can be made with Kena's movements, and the biggest one is the jumps. Kena feels a little heavy when she jumps. Even with the double jump, you don't really get too much out of it. Sometimes this can impede your, you know, your platforming abilities. Nothing too bad. right? It's nothing that, is game breaking or makes you want to stop playing it. Which brings me to another thing. The platforming elements in this game are fantastic. And, they do include some puzzle aspects, with the platforming and solving, different shrines. I'm old school, right? So I grew up with, Legend of Zelda games, Tomb Raider games, stuff like that. Basically stuff from like the 64 and the PS1 era. And honestly, this is just my take on it. But when I was going through the platforming sequences in the game, it kind of brought me back to those. And I was like, man, this is actually, pretty cool. It's a little nostalgic, but it's still cool because it puts its own spin on it. And it's something that you'll be able to appreciate as a gamer that's, playing Kenna or anything else. There is a feeling of, a Legend of Zelda influence, and when I say Legend of Zelda, I'm talking about, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. It is familiar, but at the same time, it's also fresh. You have these different things, called shrines, and each shrine you have to clear out to get, something called a relic. You have to do all of these things first in order to move on. And that's what I like, because each thing that you do helps to progress the story along the way. And you learn more about what's going on in the story when you do clear the shrines. The other thing too is that, some of these shrines, they have a lot of, hidden items or even rots, because you can collect a little army of rots and it's pretty cool. But then there's also other items you can collect, like spirit mail, the game's own form of currency that you can use to, buy hats and stuff, for your rots. There are things in the environment that, require you to build up your karma, or it's something called karma. Basically, it's your currency to, upgrade your rots and make them stronger and upgrade your abilities, basically. The other thing that I want to mention about the gameplay is the difficulty, because, man, this was rough. I'm gonna keep it 100. I had to change difficulties. I started off with Spirit Guide, which I thought would have been normal. And it turns out even that was giving me a run for my money. I had to switch to Story Mode just so I can get through the game and enjoy the story. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you like Souls games and to really challenge yourself with combat, then this is also a game that is right up your alley. This game was giving me a run for my money. And shout out to my man Ant from Official Trap House Gamers. He said this in the best way possible. And I've never heard anything ring more true than what he said. It's a Souls game wrapped in cotton candy. You know how crazy that is? Bro, to even say a game is a Souls game wrapped in cotton candy, that's savage. Straight savage. The thing about it too is that, the game also challenges you with unlocking certain chests, right? They're called cursed chests, and they tell you you have to defeat X amount of enemies in X amount of time. Sometimes it can be hard because they'll throw multiple enemies your way and you gotta clear all of them out in a short time span. And they try to mix it up too with some of the harder enemies that you may come across, sprinkled in with some, little foot soldiers here and there. It's one of those games where, like I said, if you like the challenge and you just like your blood pressure to be up for no reason, this game is for you, fam. It's perfect. There's definitely, a feeling of Majora's Mask in this game. I wrote an article, about the masks in Kenna, and I'll put that in the description below because it's very interesting, right? And I only spoke on Japanese culture because that's what I'm more familiar with, the masks and what they represent, what they mean. And in this game, the masks are used to represent people that have died. The game tells you right in the beginning, the masks, they deteriorate or, fade away when a spirit has, moved on to the next life peacefully. That's the main thing, peacefully. But in this game, sometimes you come across spirits that haven't moved on, and you, as a spirit guide, you have to help them move on. So there's a deeper theme of, of death and acceptance and peace in this game that, actually kind of gets you in your feels. I highly recommend you guys to play this. Get it now. It's on digital for like $40 for a regular copy, $50 for the deluxe version, and then you get, some cosmetics. And then the game's also coming out in November on a, for a physical copy. And I just might have to double dip because I want that in my collection. To wrap this up, this game is truly something that you need to play. They've done everything right across the board. And I have to give a huge congratulations and a huge shout out to Ember Lab because they've truly done something remarkable. Indie teams don't get a whole lot of love and they don't get a whole lot of recognition. And I just want to make sure that these guys get all the flowers that they can possibly get. If you've played it, comment below what your favorite part is in the game. And I want to do something special for you guys. I want to do shout outs. So I'm going to be picking, my favorite comments, and I'll be putting them in the next video. Now I'm saying it just to give you guys a shout out and to show my appreciation for all y'all rocking with me for so long and, through the ups and downs of this YouTube journey. So hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. It helps out a lot. I really want to bring more content to you guys and do something special for y'all in the future. So with that said, like and subscribe, share this out, and I'll holler at you in the next one. Peace.